This is me home on the Moray coast for the first time in 15 weeks. And not only is this the first time I've been here in 15 weeks, but I've just witnessed bottlenose dolphins, the famous Moray coast bottlenose dolphins, jumping on the sea over there. What a welcome home. So I'm just taking this time now that I'm kind of back home to reconnect with this gorgeous coastline, my favourite coastline, the coastline that I grew up in. It's such a privilege to be back here and to be, you know, allowed to come back here. Such a privilege. So I'm just taking this time to walk around, to reconnect with it, to ground myself and enjoy the nature around me. And I've actually got a really good feeling about tonight photographically, because it's very clear we're not going to get a sunset, as in a nice orange glowing beautiful sunset. It's far too cloudy for that, but there's so many different clouds in the sky with fantastic texture, beautiful texture. There's a bit of a breeze in the air, so these pools unfortunately aren't as crisp and clear as I would have hoped they would be. But what I'm really hoping for is, after taking this time back to reconnect with this gorgeous landscape, that I can find nice spots to take some really interesting images of the pools of water with the tide being out, with these gorgeous, unusual and unique clouds reflecting on them. It's getting pretty windy out here, but I'm just loving this. Do you know, when you've not been allowed to come home for months on end, to finally be allowed to come and see family and friends, which I'm with, by the way, I'm not just here for recreation. There's my dad over there doing his own bit of photography. Great to be back. Let's just see what this evening has in store for us, but yeah, I'm super excited for this, super excited.
Oh, it's always a joy to be back on the Moray coast, and although I was thoroughly enjoying the experience of being home, I was admittedly struggling to find photographic opportunities. However, as I sat putting my boots back on my feet, I became aware of this puddle of water in the sand that led out to the sea and the iconic mountains over the Moray Firth. So I got my camera gear out, composed an image, and began to photograph this beautiful scene before me. Even though there was no light, it was a privilege to see and photograph, and I knew this image here would always remind me of the day that I was reconnected with my favourite coastline.
As you can probably see, those really interesting clouds I was referring to at the start of this video are no longer here. Instead, we've got this sort of whitewash of clouds now, and it's starting to spit with rain, which is completely fine, but it does mean that we've not got that interest. And also with the fact that we're not going to get a stunning sunrise tonight, a lot of people may rule tonight out for good photography. But I'm noticing on the horizon and in the distance that we've got the very iconic silhouetted mountains that you get across the Moray Firth. These very beautiful mountains that I spent my childhood looking out over the sea at. Very unique, very unusual, and it's a very obvious sort of mountain range on shapes on the horizon. And they're being illuminated by some very subtle orange colours on the horizon from the side of the sea where the sun is going to be setting. And they're also really standing out against the horizon because they're very dark blue and silhouetted, which makes them beautiful and a great sort of subject matter and focal point to focus on in the distance. So all I've really been doing with these last few images, the last few that I spoke over because I never did any talking because there was too many people around and I don't like vlogging in front of people, you will have seen that I had the mountains in the background with the leading line being created by the pools of water on the beach, and I've now just been using this pathway here and these steps down to the beach as again a focal point and leading line towards what is the most interesting thing tonight, which is the silhouetted mountains. So a little bit of advice here when you're out doing photography. If you come out for a sunrise or sunset shoot and you've not got the beautiful colours and light that you'd be wanting or hoping for, look for what stands out where you are, and often there will be something that is standing out. Even if it's a grey dull evening, there'll be something of interest or something that just catches your eye. Try and include that in your images, but ensure that you find some interesting foreground so that it's not just that one thing. So like tonight, if I was to shoot just the horizon, it wouldn't be particularly interesting, but it's interesting to the eye, so I have to find something to go along with it to tell a story of either where I am or some of the beauty more close to my feet, and then focus in on what's in the distance and where all the interest is. They're not going to be the most unique and unusual images, but they're a good way to show off what is beautiful where you are in that evening, and just show off any subtle colours and that you may have in the distance. It's a good way just to go home with something that you can be reasonably happy with. That's exactly what I'm doing this evening.